want to welcome you to the next episode of the Plugged In podcast. And today we have Dom Kwong. Dom is an innovator. He's also a creator and an award-winning entrepreneur. He's also the founder of Damon Motorcycles. How are you today, Dom?
I'm doing very well, Mark. Thank you for having me. And when you start off by listing my accolades, I'm embarrassed to even recognize any of them because I have a heavy dose of imposter syndrome, and I just don't like it. It's cool. I say to a lot of people, I just do what I do, and people seem to like it.
It's interesting. If you've got imposter syndrome and yet you've created so many things, I'm thinking there's a lot of people out there that are going to really struggle with that.
Yeah, you know what? I think they, like myself, we always talk about we, like never I. And it's really built on on the history and the background from my career. I started as a radio engineer back in the mid '90s. I used to make smartphones before they were smart. Worked in the very early days of wireless data, and I mean, the team that was there, we were all of the same age, in our mid 20s when we started our careers and various backgrounds. And the company went from a startup to having a $750 million market cap when the .com explosion went off. And the thing is, it was one of the few companies that didn't the bubble when it finally popped. It didn't pop them. They continued to thrive, and the principles within that company. My first manager just taught me to always always go back to first principles, persevere, just do good work. And so I took that to heart. Having the privilege of managing various teams and groups to do that good work, that just inspires me to keep going, right? And so a lot of the thoughts and the innovations that we have, it's really a collection of I may have perhaps the initial question, does this make sense? I have an idea. I think this is what people are struggling with, and I think this might be the solution. What do you think? And then just work off each other. And that's the large part about being on a team and working with people face to face, is that I find that I draw inspiration from them because of their enthusiasm. They don't have to say a spoken word at all, but I can see from their body language that they're really enthused. And based on that, we start building and building. And the key point to all of this is not just working as a group, but continuing to get that feedback. Does this make sense? Does that make sense? Right. And if it doesn't, that's perfectly fine. I guess in entrepreneurship words, we can pivot, or today instead of using the word pivot, I say, okay, let us evolve, let us transform, let us do something more than what we had thought before. Right. Still very meaningful and ultimately solves the problem, but there's so many different ways of solving the problem, as you well know.
Yeah. I think it's great that you're very much talking about the importance of team and acknowledging the fact that you and your business have thrived really on those around you. And I think even more so, people need that humanity and that confidence and that respect, especially in the AI and technology world now, where some people are very uncomfortable with it and other people are really embracing it. And for me, it's here to stay. So we need to work with it rather than be afraid of it, but finding that human balance. But in terms of your specific business, Dom, why do you believe that AI and safety go together, especially when AI is making some people very uncomfortable? What are some of the benefits of it?
I would say that you touched on something as you were kind of leading up to that point about AI, about understanding technology, the awareness of technology, that technology is here to aid us, not to take over, if you will. And again, I spent a career working on technology, and I would say that a lot of industries are so focused in what they do that like finding the newest technology is not in their wheelhouse. For example, law enforcement has their specific techniques of how to serve and protect, right? However, there's techniques now to help them be better at their jobs so that the risk of human life goes down, right? And so with AI and what we're doing in safety, especially in personal mobility, AI is here to help us analyze. Okay, to kind of rewind back, today we generate data. Every time you jump in your car or on an e-scooter, e-bike, motorcycle, you are generating data. You just have no idea. What Damon is trying to do is take that data, add context to it. And this context is powered by AI. AI is looking at this information. I'm telling it, hey, I want this outcome. I want to provide this information to the rider so that he or she can take an extra moment to make a decision. So they're not forced or rushed into making a decision that may be uncertain. And so I think, with AI, it's meant to give you kind of a certain level of certainty, definitely more information. And I think more information is better than no information. And ultimately, in the world of mobility, you as a rider, as a motorist, I think you need all the information you can gather quickly, succinctly, and directly so that you can make the best decision.
Sounds like you reverse engineer that process, whereas most people are going from A to B, you're almost going B to A.
It's actually very interesting you say it that way. It's exactly it. I mean, we look at, for me, I look at personal mobility. I categorize what people's needs using personal mobility into 3 buckets. Whether you're commuting, having a recreational ride, or the new emerging economy called last mile delivery, I think that's exactly it. We're trying to go from A to B back to A again in the safest way possible. We don't talk about it openly because safety is not something where look, we think about it. It concerns us, but it's not like we make our decisions based on safety, especially on mobility. Like we do it for the thrill, the ride, the utility. I get, again, regardless of what you say your purpose is, there's always safety's the underline. It's the common denominator amongst all of those 3 activities.
Yeah. With your hyper sport and your hyper fighter, they're always turning heads globally. People love those, right? How do you see Damon innovation reshaping the way the future of urban mobility looks?
100% is about convenience. Absolutely about convenience. It's about, for us, what we're trying to create is call it the vehicle of your needs. And it's not just restricted to just the vehicle itself. It's about, how do we combine the vehicle, technology, and user experience in this holistic package so that, whatever activity you're performing on or off the vehicle, it gives you an understanding of what you just did and how to prepare for your next ride, right? Like how to prepare yourself to navigate, traffic, the next day because of density of population and whatnot. How do you manage your delivery routes? I want to maximize my dollars per day, if you will, of revenue. How do I manage that? And then, of course, with recreation, it's like, okay, how do I enjoy the world without having to always fiddle with my camera, fiddle with an Instagram post or a TikTok video or what have you? I want to spend more time observing the world with my 2 eyes rather than behind the camera. And then more importantly, rather than being on my phone trying to frame or post or construct this message that I want to share with the world, can I automate that? And so for us, again, getting back to the word convenience, it's just about that. How can we combine, again, the vehicle, technology, user experience in this holistic package?
And then with CoPilot,
yes,
how does Damon's AI-powered 360 system really adapt and adopt over time to keep drivers safe?
Yeah, we have an audacious goal. And we say that by 2030, we don't want to have one fatality on a Damon vehicle or a Damon licensed vehicle. So it's not just, our own vehicles, but it's everybody's vehicles. As long as we have the opportunity to combine their vehicle with our Damon IO platform, our software platform, we think that we can reduce the number of fatalities that happen around the world. And so the CoPilot system, as I mentioned before, it's meant to arm you with information. For example, at the simplest level, we've taken commodity automotive technology, blind spot, which is a radar, and with our software, converted a radar that is meant to work only on cars to work on a motorcycle. And you think about, motorcycles, we're 24 times higher to get into serious injury than a car. I mean, people can see very simply is the cage, right? We don't have this protective cage. And so, okay, if we're missing the protective cage, what can we do to better arm ourselves to tackle the challenges of the road? And in my opinion, it's like, okay, take this commodity blind spot radar, add software to makes it work on the motorcycle, which then in turn gives you this awareness, this 360-degree awareness without putting your head on a swivel. Do you happen to ride motorcycles by chance?
No, I don't.
You ride a bicycle?
Yes.
So whether you ride a bicycle, again, this is all mobility. It doesn't matter if it's human powered or, electric powered or gas powered. The point is that you're vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, what you want is certainty of your surroundings. And so what CoPilot does is taking that commodity technology and give you certainty of your surroundings. It gives you time. That's what it does.
I should have said no to that one as well and made it really difficult for you.
I found an interesting way to navigate that problem. Well, you're like, hey, you're a human being, you walk, right? Like you don't want to hit other people.
That's brilliant. Dom, I noticed that you're partnering with other engineers to develop the Hyper Sports race, which I think is going to be incredible. How does racing then help accelerate your AI and safety technology? Is there some benefit to that too?
Absolutely. First of all, Engines Engineering is a well-respected firm in Italy, and they've been working with the likes of Ducati and Aprilia for many, many, many years. So this company knows exactly how to make motorcycles. And so, that's what we need. Like Damon, we are a technology company that happens to be in personal mobility. And so we need a partner like them to build the vehicle so that what the Hypersport race represents for Damon is the first example of how, as I said before, how do we combine vehicle technology, user experience in one holistic package? How can we give you information not only while you're on the vehicle, but off the vehicle? And so we feel that a track motorcycle is the epitome of that experience, because every track rider, first of all, to undertake that experience and say, hey, as a motorist, I ride on the street and whatnot, and this time I want to go on the track. And why do you want to do that? Well, I want to push myself, right? And what they mean by pushing themselves is really about extending or broadening their comfort zone so that it's not very narrow, which again, from a safety point of view, if you're more comfortable on your motorcycle and how you can push, meaning that how smooth you can accelerate, how hard you can brake, harder than you can ever do on the street. How can I translate that back onto the street? How can I, do that in my everyday activity? And so with track, it's just exactly that. It's like, how can we take this data, understand the goal that you desire, which is to be more comfortable, and that is easily translatable as far as a lap time is concerned. I want to lower lap time. Okay, let's analyze that. Let's understand how, in each corner, how you're doing. And then we can always go, further in detail. We can get into the weeds of like body position and the finer nuances of, how do those inputs now on the motorcycle, produce a tangible result that is absolutely translatable to your street riding. So it's not just, you do something on the track and it's just only for the track. It absolutely relates to the street. Like I said, how hard you can brake. If you were only riding on the street, the only time you would exercise that ability of braking harder is when a bad situation presented itself. Something darted out in front of you, something unknown. You didn't see this thing coming. All of a sudden you're like, hey, if I don't brake, I'm going to hit it. Right. So, in my opinion, there are far more controllable ways of exploring that on the track so that you don't have to experience that for the first time on the street.
Yeah. And I know that we focused a lot on the safety of a lot of your technology, but can you explain how the Hyperdrive, in terms of the design, the innovation of the battery, its ability to charge, and then be able to continue to improve performance handling and maintenance through that?
The Hyperdrive is simply a way to allow Damon and our licensees the opportunity to create many different vehicles for many different individuals for many different purposes all around the world. That's exactly it. It's a scalable platform. And so by creating this one unified platform, if you will, we don't go through the long, rigorous, engineering cycles that is typically of automotive, like 5-year cycles or more, to come up with the next vehicle. These design cycles can be reduced from 3 years down to 1 year in certain ways, right? So that's where many of our innovations come from. Is like, how can we? I don't. Recycling is not the right word, but transformation, right? How can we transform this one platform to go from, say, this brutally exciting track vehicle to a tame street commuter to a utility last mile delivery vehicle? It can all happen on one. I mean, if you think about it, when you strip away the body and you think about just the chassis and the motor, and then in this case, they're one and the same. Why not? Why can't you have it? Again, I can always give you the kind of the corporate spiel about being like, it's capital efficient, and it allows us to innovate, and this is our value prop. Of course, this goes without saying. It's one of the things that we have to do as a company to continue to thrive and grow. But ultimately, we do these things because we want to solve very humanistic problems.
Yeah. Dom, as we bring this into land, what is next for you and your company, Damon Motorcycles? What's next?
Well, we're 100% focused on getting the job done with our Hypersport race and Damon IO launch, which we expect early next year. We just launched a new fundraising campaign. This Reg A Plus. You can go to damon.com to find out all about it. This raise helps us to continue on this mission that we're on, this evolvement of having from becoming a hardware only company to more of a software centric company, where we want to enable more vehicles to do exactly what I just talked about. Give the customer this awareness of your surroundings in whatever activity. And so it doesn't matter if it's a Damon vehicle or, quite frankly, a Honda, as long as on the side of the vehicle it says intelligence by Damon, it's all good with me. So we feel that we can scale greater. And so, yeah, this fundraising campaign is important to us. And so, if people are interested in learning more, please just go to damon.com and you'll find out all you need.
Amazing. Yeah, it's been great to chat with you, Damon. Very likable, very knowledgeable, and really enjoyed this interview with you. So thank you for your time.
My pleasure, Mark. Thank you for having me.